Casey Newman's Cigar Studio in Boston, Massachusetts.
All right, I'm going to try this one last time. I have no idea why we keep losing our show feed. I'm not bringing Kevin in. Kevin's done. I'm not trying to be a dick. He's out. I don't know if it's on him. I am trying to eliminate possibilities. I have no idea what's going on. This is such an important show that I've spent so much time preparing for, and we haven't even been able to start the fucking list. I mean, I'm very aggravated. I'm not even gonna hide it. I'm very aggravated. This is a very important show, and we have virtually no viewership now because everyone's probably given up on us, and the show drops out at random after 5 minutes, and I don't know why. I'm in my brand new studio in a brand new house with a whole brand new internet system. I don't know. I do know that Kevin's been having some internet issues for the last couple of weeks, and he keeps dropping out. I know last week we had some issues. I'm going to remove that from the situation and see if that is possibly the cause of the problem, because I don't know what else to do, and I got to get this list out there. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start going through the list. It's going to be a little bit more express than I really wanted it to. I waited all year to go through this list, and I feel like I have to kind of rush through it now. But I don't know what else to do, and I apologize because unfortunately, this has just turned into a fucking nightmare. I'm not, and you know what? Shout out to the sponsors. I appreciate the love and the help. I'm not running the ads again, and the ones that I didn't do, like McAuliffe, I'm not running them. I'm sorry. I want to get through my list, and unfortunately, those are going to have to be skipped. I want to get through this list. It's very important to everyone at the team. If we lose the feed again, I'm done, and I have to then regroup and figure this out, and we will completely start a whole brand new show at another date. Again, I don't know why we keep losing our feed. This never happens to us. In fact, we've lost our feed once a year, one time during a broadcast. We've never lost it 4 times in one night. I have no idea why. Again, the only thing I can think of is unless there's something wrong on my end, it might be on Kevin's end. I'm not going to bring him back in. We'll see if that is it. If I lose it again, it's on me somehow. I don't know. So let's start going through the list. Unfortunately, like I said, I'm going to probably be a little bit quicker on this than I wanted to be. But yeah, it is what it is. I'm going to kind of go through this at 25. Let's see. We have the EP Carrillo Allegiance, which we saw earlier this year. This cigar, a fantastic cigar. I mean, everything that's been coming out of that factory, everything that EP Carrillo's been putting out lately has been just absolutely. I mean, I can't even smoke this cigar. That's done now. So everything that's been coming out of that cigar, that factory has been amazing. It's been fantastic, and when this came out, I had a lot of hopes for it, and I remember I smoked it very early in the year, and I loved it. I fell in love with it right away, and right away I thought about it for the list, and so I keep a list with me, and I don't know what the rest of my team does, but I know everyone kind of does their own thing, but I keep a list with me throughout the year as I smoke certain things that I come across and I go, oh, like we're gonna remember this for the end of the year, because of the top 25 and cigar of the year. This was one of those cigars I jotted down right away, very early in the year. I said this is a cigar I can't forget about when we get into the fall and we start thinking about the list because it's just been lights out. And I know that they've had a lot of success, with other media publications with some of their other cigars. The Pledge of Allegiance, just as an honorable mention, I know was one that came out this year. Another great cigar. That cigar went like that. It flew out of shelves. It's just I wanted to make sure they were included on the list. This was a tough list. I had a whole spiel I wanted to get into, but now I just feel like I'm racing against the potential doomsday clock of when my feed drops out again. I hope it doesn't, but putting what I wanted to say at the beginning of the show is, putting this list together has been very difficult. I know that in my conversations with some of the other folks in the media, Sorry, I have to answer this message. It sucks when you're a one man show because then you can't pause for anything because it's just dead air. And wow, this is very difficult. This is not how I wanted my Cigar of the Year show to go. People are just gonna have to wait. I'm sorry. What are we doing here? This is wow. This is very disappointing. This is really not how I wanted my show to go. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Wow, very disappointed. Very embarrassed too. I'm gonna be very honest with you. I'm very embarrassed. I'm very sorry. I don't have any of my team here. I'm all up all alone. Yeah, I feel like I'm rushing through my list now, and this is unfortunate. This is very tricky. But yeah, putting this list together has been very difficult. It was a tough year for releases. I know if I've had this conversation with some of the other folks in the media, we all kind of chat on things and end of the year stuff, and there was a lot of stuff that came out this year that I think people had a lot of high hopes for, that didn't necessarily pan out, which is unfortunate. And I won't really get into specifics right now, at least, because this really isn't the time. But there was a lot of stuff that we heard about or was announced or we started to show. And it was like, oh, and there was a lot of interest and a lot of hype on these products, and then they came out and we smoked them, and it was like, oh, it's not really where I thought that was going to be. So unfortunately, this was. It's kind of like the inside joke with at least some of the media guys. It was kind of like the year of the disappointment. There was a lot of stuff that was released that just kind of didn't pan out. Again, there was great stuff that did come out. We have a list of 25 of that the entire team worked together on that we all felt in one way or another was worthy of being on the list. So we were able to put a list together, but there was a lot of stuff that we had hopes for, that unfortunately, when we actually got down to the business of it, it was like, oh, this is just not list worthy, and unfortunately, that happens sometimes. And in a move to be integral, to what we do, it's unfortunately you have to make tough decisions. So. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my cigar relit. I'm a one-man show here, so I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best here. I apologize. Let me just do one thing. I am so sorry, everybody. This has been very disappointing. But anyway, I'm going to do the best I can with this list. So, anyway, number 25, the EP Carrillo Allegiance. At number 24, we had the Houghton Young Operation Gothic Serpent. This cigar was very interesting. I when it was announced, I'll be honest with you. A lot of stories come out and stuff, and I don't always put them all out. I know sometimes it says I do, but I'm not always the one who puts every story out. There's a bunch of us who work on this. But I remember seeing the story and being like, oh, that's really cool. And I kind of skimmed through it at first, and then a few days had gone by, and I remember someone said, oh, did you hear about blah blah blah? And I was like, oh, yeah, I saw that. That's cool. I've never heard of those guys before, but I'll go check them out at the trade show. And I think it was Carney who said to me, like, no, like, did you know who they were? And when I found out, I was like, oh. And then it was like, yeah, that's what Operation Gothic Serpent was the famous the Black Hawk Down mission. And I was like, oh. And he told me the whole story, and then he was like, one of the guys from that mission is from my town in Maine. And so on a personal level, Carney, it meant a lot to him. He's like, I'm going to get some of those cigars. I'm going to bring them back to Lincoln, Maine, and I'm going to smoke them there. And we, I didn't go to the booth at the trade show, but I know the guys did. And they met with them, and they were, really humbled by the experience and those people. And I was like, all right, this is cool. And when the cigars came out, it was like, all right, I'm going to give them a shot. And they were really good. And I have to give those guys a lot of credit. They have a great cigar. They have a great story. If you don't know the story, You've probably heard something about it, whether you realize it or not. But you should definitely check them out. But also check out the cigar. The cigar was great. This was a contender on the list. You're right from the get-go, right out of the gate. So again, another one of those cigars that I think a lot of us had written down that was like, hey, we got to consider this, and it did make the list. I know probably not as high as some people might have thought, but it did make the list. So really happy to have it there. At number 23, sorry, I have to close and then open. At number 23, the Illusione or Illusione. Again, people who know me know I'm horrible with pronunciation. I still don't know which way it's preferred to be announced, but the original Documents Habano. This is I know it's too bad. I wanted Kevin on here for this one because I know this is one that Kevin really enjoyed, and he was a huge fan of this cigar when it came out, and this cigar, it performed great. A lot of flavor. Illusiones, they've been doing a lot of different things the last couple of years. I know that they've been working on some rebranding, some repackaging, and some stuff like that. And this cigar came out, and this was just another one of those cigars that really got the team excited. It's been a favorite all year, so of course it made its way onto the list. And rolling into the number 22 spot, close that one out, bring this one in. The Wildfire, the Wanderer. So Wildfire is a small little brand that I'm sure anyone who's followed anybody's PCA coverage has probably, or any of the videos I may or may not have posted from the trade show in 2022, might recognize. If anyone's ever seen any of the videos of Jeremy, who owns the brand, he was the one who was doing the very seductive dance on Matt Booth's stripper pole at his booth at the trade show in 2022. He got some FaceTime with that, but he's known for his brand Wildfire cigars, and this was his latest creation, the Wanderer, which this was another one that was a big favorite of Kevin's actually. The Illusione and the Wildfire, these were two favorites of Kevin's. So I know that he was a big fan of these and had a lot to say on these two, and unfortunately he's not here, but we still have our feet up, which is great. So I don't know. I don't know. We're still live, so hopefully that helps. But unfortunately, I wish I could have made it work with him, but and he's not here. But hopefully he's in the comments and he can comment along on this because I know he had a lot to say on this one. But moving right along, sorry, I hate to rush, but I want to make sure I can get through most of this list before something happens again. In number 21, West Tampa Red. West Tampa, we first saw them come onto the scene again. I think their first trade show was in 2022. Rick Rodriguez, been in the business, for a while now, and launching his own brand. We saw the first two releases of the West Tampa brand. The red was added last year. This was one of those cigars where you kind of break down brands, and when you're talking about stuff that comes out during the year, and we're trying new things and we're looking at things, you kind of break it down by the big boys, and then like the kind of the middle of the road guys, and then kind of like everybody else, especially like in the boutique sector. And there's a lot of reasons for that, and I'll probably kind of get into that when I have other people here to discuss it with, and it's probably going to be like a spare notes topic. But it's easy to compartmentalize the companies that way, just because of a lot of different reasons, a lot of moving pieces. Some of the bigger companies, there's a lot more releases usually with them in a year because they're bigger and kind of their reach and whatnot, and you kind of break it down from there. Then the boutique stuff is interesting because even though they're not big companies, there's a lot more boutique companies than there are big companies. And especially in today's day and age with the cigar industry, you have a lot more people really venturing out and exploring stuff. And the boutique brands are the ones that you're getting more traction with nowadays. Not that they get more traction than obviously these big legacy names have been around, who have massive fan bases, but they're getting more love than I think they probably would have 10, 20 years ago. West Tampa Red was one of those cigars that came out from West Tampa Tobacco, which is a brand that, I mean, it came on the scene last year or 2 years ago now. Sorry, right out of the gate they had a lot of traction, and they've really kept up that momentum. They released this one this year, and again, it was just they're keeping that train rolling. This cigar was fantastic, performed really well. Again, another team favorite. This was one that I know the guys have been talking about all year. When we started talking about the list, like this was one of the first cigars that they even mentioned, and it was like, oh, we got to revisit those. So it wasn't really a surprise to see them on the list. Excited to see them on the list. To see them doing some good things. I was always kind of excited for West Tampa to see kind of what they were going to do. When they first came out, and so far they've done really well in their first few years. So just a huge shout out to them. At number 20, we have the La Aroma de Cuba, Connecticut. So this is a brand that's owned by Ashton, for those who don't know. Ashton cigars are made by Tabacalera y Fuente y Silla in the Dominican Republic by the Fuente family. Sorry. La Aroma de Cuba is made at My Father's Cigars in Nicaragua. Perhaps the other major strong brand that the Ashton portfolio has, and this is a brand that I've been a fan of for many years. One, because I love the cigars. Two, I like the factory they come out of, so it's kind of an easy sell for me. But you've seen a lot of Connecticut additions to a lot of these core lines from some pretty big names. I know Gurkha added some this year to their Ghost line, which is perhaps their best selling line that they have. And there was a few others, and we talked about this on a couple of shows, throughout the year. So to see them add one to their pretty vast La Aroma de Cuba brand wasn't really a surprise. Kind of more, I think the talk was, oh, like what took them so long, But not in a bad way. I mean, they're great cigars. It's just kind of like, oh, I like Connecticut sometimes too. I'd love to have one, and that said they did. And I remember, seeing it at the trade show. I think it was already released before the show, but it was there being exhibited. And I think we grabbed some of those after the show, and we started smoking through them. And my favorite size was the small Corona size that they had. I think it performed extremely well, and it just. It's so much flavor, the quality, the consistency, it's all there with the rest of the cigars that they put out. Ashton's not a company that puts out cigars every year. They're not one of those brands that always has to do something new, and they're not shy about that, and they're not afraid to say that, and and whatever works for their business, is great. They've done a great job of just doing what they do. This year it was time, it was time for a new release. The last cigar they put out was the Pasión, which was also, in the La Aroma de Cuba line that came out in the 2021 show. So, 2 years, they put out another cigar. I'd be surprised if I saw something new from Ashton in a couple months when we go to the next PCA trade show. I expect to probably see them just working on what they have now and maybe releasing something new in 2025 when we actually go to New Orleans for the next trade show after that. So, that is our number 20 spot. I'm going to take a sip of my drink here. Sorry about that. Ha-ha! Tatuaje. It wouldn't be a list if Tatuaje wasn't on there. What can I say? Tatuaje... This actually... No, I don't want to say that. So, the Tatuaje 10th anniversary Tuxtla... I probably think I'm gonna get this one up pretty close. The Bon Chasseur. Pete has been working with the Mexican San Andreas, and he's been, he had a couple of releases that he's worked with this tobacco. He did a T110 in the Tuxtla. He did his 10th anniversaries. He also did the Lomo de Cerdo in the Tuxtla wrapper. Which was not a redo, but, a different variation of the pork tenderloin that many have come to know Pete for. That has, that came out, want to say 2012 that was originally released. And one of those cigars that people have regarded, one of the best cigars of all time. Well, Pete, came out this year and, wanted to do a lot with the Tuxla and reintroduce that with the Lomo de Cerdo, the T110, obviously, another big one. He did it with these, and I believe there was one other that he did Tuxla with. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I know this was something that, was kind of popular with Tatuaje this year, just a lot of Mexican San Andreas. This is a cigar that right out of the gate I fell in love with. On the media side, look, I try to be unbiased. I try to be very even, but at the same time, I'm still a human being too. Sorry, I'm still trying to enjoy my cigar. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. That cigar was just one of those ones that, right away, I'm a big fan of Tatuaje. On a personal note, I know I probably shouldn't say that, but again, I'm still a person too. I do like what I like. I've always been a fan of Pete's and the cigars that he makes. So I was excited to try this. I'm really big, personally, on Pete's broadleaf stuff. I've always been such a huge fan. It's some of my favorite stuff in the world. When I put it on like my personal list, which I will not share with you, Tatuaje, a lot of the different stuff in the broadleaf is my all-time favorite. So I was curious when he wanted to come up with all these variations with the Mexican San Andreas, with the Tuxla. I would say, in my personal opinion, the original versions of all of them, I think, were better. Just not that these were bad by any means. I still prefer the originals, just because I love them and I have memories of when I first discovered them and be like, oh shit, this is awesome. But he did really well with the Tuxla. He did, and he earned a spot on the list. Maybe another. I don't know. We'll see. Did I say that out loud? But no, he did. He did a great job with this cigar. This cigar was good. Again, I love the original, but this cigar really stood on its own as well. So it was very easy to find a place for this on the list this year because, again, just another slam dunk from Pete. Moving right along at the 18th spot, we have the Cavalier Geneve White Series limited release, the 48, for 2023. This cigar, again, Kevin was smoking, I think, last year's limited release. I can't remember which one. I know he was smoking. I'm trying to remember which one he had. But anyway, my point that I was going to get to was, Cavalier Geneve, there's another brand. They're a smaller brand that's really making a lot of effort and strides to really grow their footprint, in their portfolio, and they've done a really great job. I'll be honest with you, there hasn't really been anything from them that I haven't liked yet personally, and I think I speak for my team when I say I think they feel the same way. They just, Sebastian and Brian, those guys over there, they do a hell of a job. They have some great cigars. They're making some great releases. This release was another one. I remember the 22 release. The limited release from 22, I actually remember when I had that, I was at Smoke Inn in Boynton Beach with the GOAT, Alex Davella, and just making conversation. And it was like, hey, what do you like? What's selling good? And the first thing he said was, have you had that Cavalier, LE? And I was like, I know about it. I haven't had it yet. And he's like, no, you're buying that today. You're smoking that cigar. And I smoked that one, and I was blown away by it, and almost the same. I didn't get it from Smokin, but again, almost the same reaction from this cigar this year. And it was like, yeah, I mean, these guys are consistent. They've kept it year over year with their releases and all the things that they've done. Another honorable mention, the Inner Circle line that they've been working on the last couple of years. Those have been some great cigars too. Unfortunately, they didn't make it to the list, but that's not to say that they're not great cigars. I still think those are great too, and just a huge shout out to those guys for those as well, because they've been doing some good stuff. So that's at our number 18 slot. We're working our way towards the middle here. At number 17. Sorry, I had to pause for a minute. It's the Aganorsa Leaf Anniversario Connecticut Toro. We recently reviewed this cigar. I think Mitchell did this review. Got a pretty good score. We had Terrence Riley on the show last week. We talked a little bit about this and some of the other cigars, most notably the new size in the Supreme Leaf that's coming out in the next couple of weeks, I believe. Aganorsa has been doing a great job. They did a whole rebranding last year. They've been tweaking some stuff, and they've been coming out with some new stuff. Again, another Connecticut shade extension to one of their core lines. Another company to do so. And it performed well. They did a great job with it, and I'm really happy with this cigar. I smoked it, and right away I said we got to get this cigar reviewed as soon as possible because it's delicious, and I want to get a score on it because I want to know what everyone else thinks. And it made its way into the list for that reason. It performed really well. It scored really well. Aganorsa has some great tobacco. They make some great cigars. They've been absent from our list, I think, the last 2 years. I could be wrong. I have last year's list somewhat at the front of my brain. I don't know if I have the one before, but I'm pretty sure we haven't seen them on our list in 2 years. So I was excited to finally see them back on the list because, again, I've always been a fan, but, the last couple of years, and I've been shy about it. They've been, not as loud, with what they've been doing. So, Aganorsa really came out of the gate and did some stuff, and they earned the spot on the list. So, shout out to them. Congratulations to them for getting there. We're getting close to our top 15. We are only 2 cigars away, I believe. We're getting to number 16. The Monte Cristo 1935 anniversary Edición Diamante. I think I got that one pretty good. Give me some credit as a gringo. I think I got that one pretty good. Listen, Monte Cristo, this is an Altadas USA cigar. Oh, look at this one right here. Boom, in the Torpedo Vitola. This cigar is a cigar that, I'll be honest with you, it was another one that it was an easy sell for me. It came out, we got them. I said, I have to go through my cigars, and I lit it up, and in the first 10 minutes, I'm like, yeah. I mean, this thing is just great, and I kept smoking them. I got them to the guys; they loved them. It was an easy sell for me. Another brand that I've always enjoyed is the Monte Cristos, both versions, the Cubans and the non-Cubans, but especially the non-Cuban ones. I feel they've been on our list before a couple of times, I believe. And every year, there's a Monte Cristo release. It's getting to the point where it's kind of hard to not put it on the list because they've just been so consistent. And even though the cigars are different every year, they put a lot of effort, they put a lot of time into the cigars that they make over there. And the Monte Cristo brand is a great brand. It's a very recognizable brand, and the cigars have just always continued to perform year after year, time and time again. Some of my favorite cigars of all time are Monte Cristos. The 1935 anniversary, the whole collection of it is one of my favorites. The Epic is another one. The Espada, I always loved that one. All the stuff that they've done with AJ, the Monty, like just all of those cigars, they're fucking great. I'm just gonna say it. They've I love them, and I smoked this one and right away, yep, this is on the list this year. Just so fantastic. But Nicole's here with me. Hi, Nicole. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I don't know if your gain is on. Let me turn this up really quick. Let's see. Are you still there?
I don't know. Am I? Can people hear me now?
There we go. There she is. Yeah, they can hear you now. Your gain was off, but that's okay.
Hi, everyone.
They can hear you now. I'm glad you're here now because now I don't feel so alone.
I felt really bad, so I left the baby, and here I am.
I hope the baby's sleeping at least.
She is sleeping.
I think it's safe to say we made it 30 minutes in. I think
You did pretty good.
I think it might have been Kevin's connection, and I feel really bad to not bring him back on, but at the same time, I think he kept dropping us out because now we've been able to sustain the show for 30 minutes. So,
Well, I figured I'd come in and help. And as most of you know,
I can smoke my cigar now.
I was pregnant up until August of last year, so I didn't get the opportunity to smoke all of these cigars. However, quite a few in the top 10 I did get to smoke, so I can kind of contribute there a little bit. But also, do you have a cutter? Because I am cutterless.
I have that.
Thank you.
I have this. Once again, thank you to our friends at ST Dupont for cutting and lighting our cigars. Well, now that Nicole's here too, I can take a breath because I don't feel so, like I have to just keep it constant here. I can kind of relax a little bit. But one of the things that I wanted to say too is this is our first show. This is our first show in our new, in our new home. Number one, and in our new home, we are lucky enough to have our own smoking lounge / studio, and it's nice. It's nice. No more garage studio.
You did a good job.
No more garage studio. We can do the show
with heat
in a nice finished space. This is awesome. We're downstairs. We outfitted our own ventilation system. Oh yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Are we number 19?
We are. We're way down here.
Oh,
we're at 16. We're cruising.
I know. I'm smoking 16.
I know. Now Nicole's lighting it up. But no, we're excited. We're here. We got our new studio here, and it's comfortable. It's not cold. It doesn't get too smoky in here because we have plenty of ventilation. And which actually, I'm gonna turn up the fans a little bit, which is cool because I can do it right from my phone. I'm
also swagged out today. I pulled out the sweatshirt, the hat.
Yeah, a lot of our clothes have just been still packed away as we've moved, so I didn't even know that I knew we had them, but I didn't. Half of my clothes I don't even know where they are anymore because everything's still so packed away. And she's up on the second floor, right? Oh, so if I turn these up a little bit more, I'm not gonna wake her, which is nice.
Nope.
Oh, sweet. Sorry about this, guys. Just want to make sure we stay nice and smokeless. Well, as smokeless as possible down here now that Nicole's here. But yeah. So anyway, we're going through the list. We're about to We're about to enter the top 15. So, which is So we're making our way through here, which is really cool. Also, guys, I'm sorry I haven't forgotten about the comments. I know you guys are commenting here. Please continue to comment. It's just I've been doing too much to go through the comments, but I do see them. So thank you. Moving right along. Let's go to number 15.
This is not going to be a surprise.
No, this is. I almost let it slip, and Pete got 2 slots on the list. So we talked on this one will probably be a little bit shorter, just because I already kind of talked about this. But Lomo de Cerdo, again, this was a slightly different variant. It's just a wrapper differential from the original pork tenderloin that Pete released. He did it in this wrapper again. I think a lot of people that I've spoken to agreed with me. I really loved this cigar. This was fantastic. It has performed.
There was a lot of hype about it.
There was a lot of hype about it, and I think the reason being was because, a lot of people were excited to see how did it stand up to the original, which has been very highly regarded in many other media circles, which came out long before we were doing what we do. But the original pork tenderloin, which featured a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper, which, as I said before, is some of my favorite tobaccos, especially with the stuff that Pete does. So I think a lot of people were excited, this is kind of coming back, but it's gonna be a little different. A lot of hype. It performed well. Again, this is my only thing. I feel as well as many other people did. I think the original still performs much better, and I think holds a much brighter candle. But this cigar, that doesn't mean that this cigar didn't hold its own. It did. It did.
It just means you can't replace the first.
No. The first will always be special. The original pork tenderloin will always be special. But this cigar is still pretty good too, and it earned its way into the top 15. So where it really deserves to be. So a huge shout out to Pete Johnson. 2 cigars on the list so far. Great job. Continue doing what you're doing, Pete. We love you. Keep making good cigars so we can keep buying them. Or don't, and then we'll stop. But no, I'm just joking. I'm trying to make myself laugh tonight because I'll be honest with you, I'm not really in a laughing mood. Let's see. Number 14, the Christoph Tres Compadres. So in the Robusto size, mind you. This cigar came out. So Christoph's a brand that it was one of the first brands I ever smoked, and I have a lot of respect for the team over there. They're a good company. They've done a lot of good things. They've made some serious changes, over the course of their time, and I think they're starting to kind of go in a brighter direction. That's like how I want to say that. I had to think about that carefully for a second. They're going in a brighter direction. That's not to say that they weren't in a bright direction, but I've seen some really good major changes with them, most notably with the last couple of releases.
That guardrail.
The last year, the guardrail. The
That was
guardrail was really good. They experimented with some different tobaccos in that, which was interesting, and I think anyone might be skeptical when they hear, like, I think it was, did they use, was it, no, it wasn't Indonesian. What did they use? There was a weird tobacco in there that they used. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. It was from Asia, I believe. It was an Asian tobacco, and I remember being skeptical. But I smoked that cigar, and that cigar was really, really good. I think I smoked that with Jared when he was on like a month or two ago. And then this year we saw the Tres Compadres as well as the Nicaragua, and then they had their PCA 2023 exclusive. This was the best of those three. The Tres Compadres was delicious.
It had tobacco from Zimbabwe.
I was way off. It's from Zimbabwe,
Somewhere.
which is very odd. That's not one that people would probably hear very often. So, but no, that cigar was great.
And Jared.
Oh, look, Jared's here. Jared's here. Oh, look,
it.
Jared's here. There he is. Hey, Jared. I miss you, buddy. But no, but seriously, it is. It's a weird tobacco that you like Zimbabwe, but that cigar tasted fucking amazing. It was great. So the Tres Compadres, when that came out, I grabbed those. I started smoking those, and I was like, yeah, I think Christoph's might make their way back onto the list this year, which is good because they were absent last year, and I didn't like it, but they made their way back. So Tres Compadres was great. Make sure you check that out. The Robusto size really performs, I think, the best. That's why that one was listed on the list this year. So go check it out. Number 2, guyscigars.com. They definitely have it because I bought all of mine from them. What was that? 14? So we're on to 13, right?
Yes.
All right. I finally learned how to pronounce this year because Mike
Bullied you.
Sesminkevich. Think I got that one right too. Made sure to make me feel bad, so I learned how to say it. But it's not Paustani. It's Paustania.
I call it Pow Stain, so you're already miles ahead of me.
Well, hopefully Mike's not. Hopefully Mike's
Sorry,
not.
Mike.
Hopefully Mike's not watching the show tonight. But no. So this cigar is made by Skip Martin and Mike Rosales at Nica Sueño, at the Roma Craft Tobacco Factory. Again, another Connecticut shade version that came out, to a brand this year. Specifically in the, I think it's the Bellicoso size. That I thought was the best. I remember this cigar. There was rumblings about this. I think Skip posted a photo on Facebook before Mike had the chance to say something, and then it was in. What was interesting is this cigar was also in the kit at Puro Sabor, the Nicaraguan Cigar Festival. Way before it was released. So anyone who was part of Pure Sabor had the opportunity to get that cigar pretty early on. And the folks that did, I heard a lot of good things about it. And then, of course, it was formally released, and I got my hands on it. And I remember the team talked about it, and they were like, hey, Powstownie, Connecticut? That's on the list, right? And I'm like, huh. Oh, yes. And I did the re-smoke, and I'm like, yes. So I'm really excited. That's a brand. I know it's a small brand. If you guys know the Cigar Hustler guys, they're great guys. And they've done a really good job of building up their business that they have going on there on their brand side. And this was a well-deserved spot. Time and time again. We've smoked it several times. Cigar performed really well. A lot of flavor. The blend was really complex. It was done well. No surprise. It's coming out of a factory where, they put a lot of focus and attention on the tobaccos that they use and the cigars that they roll. So, again, just congrats to them, making it, somewhat near the top there on the list at number 13. They They make some great stuff. I'm excited to see what they do in the future. So, let's see. Number 12. Number 12. Where are we here? Steven. How could I forget? Everyone was wondering when Steve Saka would make an appearance on the list, and I'm sure many people are not surprised to see him towards the top.
He's been on quite a few lists already.
He has.
And although I've seen the Bewitched, I don't know if I've seen the Krakatoa on anyone's list yet.
I'll be honest with you. I don't pay attention to a lot of other people's lists. It's not because I don't care, but it's because sometimes it's a little mental. Like, I like to go into Cigar of the Year season kind of blocking everyone else out because I don't want to look at someone else's list. Because you know what? And I'll tell you why. Because and as much as people say, like, oh, that's not true, it isn't. It does happen. I made the mistake the first year, and I said, never again. It's like the Holocaust. Never again. I block it out. I go, I'm doing my list. And when my list is done, then I'll go look at everyone else's list. With the exception of the Cigar Coupe list, because he makes sure that I see his list.
But once the list is made, then you can kind of look at other ones because, face it.
Because then I start second-guessing myself.
Hold
and I'm
on.
like, wait a minute. But then I'm like, no, this is my list.
No. I pay
want
attention for the Facebook drama people. Have you not seen all of the comments and all of it? I'm here for the drama.
Yeah, I like to,
people are up in
I don't want to
arms
second-guess
over lists.
myself.
It's wild. It's
One thing I
wild
do,
out there.
but without looking at anyone's list, one thing I do know is that Steve will make his way onto a lot of lists. Look, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's not ass kissing. It's just facts. It's science. It's history.
He had a great year.
Every year, Steve seems to make his way to multiple spots on every list. He's done so on our list, I think, every year since we've had a list, as he has done with many other people.
But think of how many cigars he had that came out this year
Yeah.
alone. He had a huge year.
Yeah, and I tell you, look, you got to give it to the guy. Like, he knows how to market them. He knows how to, go through the factory. He's been on the show a couple of times. He's talked about it. He claims, I don't know how accurate this is. I don't spend a lot of time in factories. He claims he orders more test samples of his, practice blends or, his testing blends or whatever, stuff he's working on. He claims he orders more testing samples than anyone else. I don't know if that's true. It's Steve. Who knows? But what I do know is that his cigars are always performing very well. They score high, and they score high on lists. I mean, it doesn't lie. I mean, his cigars are fucking good. I mean, so it's no surprise. The Krakatoa was delicious. I liked the Bewitched last year a lot. I think the Bewitched was also pretty high up on our list last year. The Krakatoa came out, and I'm like, all right, let's see. I smoked that cigar the first time. I'm like, yeah, this is on the list. And I just, it was awesome. I mean, what else can I say? I mean, I could just sit here and keep kissing Steve's ass all night, but I really don't want to.
Don't give him the pleasure.
No, I don't want to give him the satisfaction. Because I don't want to have to do it again later. So, look, again, great job by Steve. It was his number 12. This is number 12. So just outside the top 10. I know, but it's still high up on the list. Great job by Dumbarton Tobacco and Trust for getting on the list. And I want to look at the list here. All right, so this is another one that I know Kevin was big on.
Great score. We reviewed this.
We did review this one.
On the Smokin Tabacco website. High ratings.
91 or 90?
I think it was 91.
I think it was 91. You have to go to smokintabacco.com to find the review, but I think it was a 91. Kevin did the review. This cigar also came out this year. We talked about this a little bit last month, maybe 5-6 weeks ago, with Christian Aroa. This one is the Sensorium Asen. I believe that's how you say it. The Asen, I think that's how you pronounce it. There were two sizes. This particular cigar, we reviewed this cigar. It does have a little bit of a steep MSRP. This cigar has a MSRP of $65. A little steep of a price, especially for something from Asylum. I know a lot of people are probably thinking, $65 for an Asylum? This cigar is special, though. This has been a cigar that's been kind of a pet project of theirs for a while, and I know Christian and the Aroa family down in Honduras, on the farm where they grow their tobacco, they've been working with a special tobacco that they call a Pinot Reno. Which Christian and I talked a lot about when he was on the show. unfortunately, we haven't had Tom Lazuka on the show to talk about this, but I'm trying to get him on the show again too, so we can talk a little bit more about this too. But this is a cigar that was interesting. It's kind of different. Lot of flavor. This is a crazy flavor bomb cigar. The construction on it was also just excellent. Burned very well. Goes hand in hand with the way that the flavor was, the complexity. It burned well. The construction was well. The quality of the tobacco was really, really, really superb, especially for the price. I mean, a lot of people will say, once you start going over, $20, $30, is it really worth it? And there's a lot of debates on that, and we won't really get into that here. But what I will say is, like, if you're going to spend the money on the cigar, you're probably not going to hate yourself if you smoke it, because you'll find, it was still pretty damn good. It's one that I do recommend you try at least one of. It's delicious. I know that they're working on some. They weren't real specific, but I know that kind of alluded to they were working on some projects with that tobacco with some other cigars and some other things. I tried to ask if Justo was also working with that tobacco, but he wouldn't tell me. So, but it'd be curious to see in the future. But anyway, this cigar was fantastic. It scored really highly. Awesome cigar. It tasted really well. Shout out to CLE Asylum for putting out such an amazing cigar and making it into almost the top 10. This is number 11. So now we will enter the top 10. So I'm going to bring this down. We're entering the top 10. Now, what's interesting about the top 10 is Aaron Loomis, just here based on the description you provided, we'll have to catch the beginning. Well, Aaron, I'm going to put a little spoiler for you. This is our
Don't catch the beginning.
There was no
Don't do it.
Well, no, I mean, if he goes to the beginning of this particular stream, when it's over, he'll see the whole list. You won't see anything else that we did, because this is our fourth attempt to get this show up and running tonight. So, Aaron, I'm sorry. You're only going to see the list, but maybe that's all you want to see. That's fine. But tonight's been a struggle. All right, it's been a struggle. So I hope you enjoy it. It's not our best show, but we're here. We're doing it. But we're into the top 10 now. Today, I'm going to pull this up. As I said before, there's only one other person whose lists unfortunately just are stuck in my face, and I have to just. But I've learned to just not think about it and be like, I'm going to do my list. I don't care what he does. And that's Coop. And Coop texted me today, and he was very excited to see what we came up with. And, I forgot to mention one thing, too, about that one, which I wanted to address. And maybe I'll do that at the end, because it doesn't really matter right now. But he gave me a prediction of 10 cigars that he called were 10 stone cold lead pipe locks I see on your list tonight. And so far, I think most of these are in the top 10. A couple of them were outside the top 10, and some of them were not on the list at all. But I'll put it in front of you.
He has, so...
Don't say anything, but...
I was just going to say he has 4 correct, but not in the right order.
Okay.
That's all I was going to say. Also, this Diamante.
We want to see the B-roll. Yeah, you do. It was bad.
Terrible.
Oh, man. Everyone's here tonight. Jay Davis is here. Aaron Loomis is here. Mitchell's here. Garrett Baldwin's here. Christoph Jarrett is here. Joe Seymour's here. I don't see Kevin and Barbara anymore. I
saw Terrence Riley at some point.
Terrence Riley was in there. Alan Rubin's here. That's not a surprise. Shout out to Danny Cook. He's here. He's been catching our shows. Thanks for being here, bro.
Can you share the ashtray?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Please, dear husband. Thank you.
I got so used to being here by myself.
I know.
Anyway, so I know.
That's some good.
Look at that construction right there.
That actually amazing.
I know.
All right, it doesn't look great from that side, but it's good construction.
I feel bad because I don't feel like I'm not giving this cigar enough justice because I haven't really been smoking it. Eddie Garrett's here. Great. I'm glad Eddie's still here because he needs to be. Probably shouldn't have said that. But I'm happy he's here. All right. We're going to number 10. So where are we at number 10? I just want to... All right. So once again, from Nica Sueño, we have another cigar from Romacraft, or made by Skip Martin, on the list. And
EP Carrillo.
Yes. Yes, and EP Carrillo. And that is at number 10. Why is it not popping up? There it is.
There you go.
There we go. The Quinquagenario from Roma Craft Tobacco. This was a cigar that Skip worked on with Ernie Carrillo for his 50th. This cigar, I remember smoking it and being really excited by it. This was great. This was one of the first cigars that Nicole smoked after she had the baby.
I think it was 3 or 4, but there was a lot of hype. I wanted to try it.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah, this one, an honorable mention. It didn't make the list, but while we're here,
The Intemperance. Ugh.
The Volstad, the VO.
I fought for it to be on the list.
I know it was tough. This was tough, but that was also another one. It didn't make the list, but it was very close. Roma Craft had a good year in our book, on our scale. Roma Craft had a good year, as well as Nika Sueño. With Paustania also being on the list too. They did a great job this year with their stuff. We've talked about the Intemperance, the Volstad, whether the pre-release or the final release. Yeah, people have gone back and forth. Nicole and I personally really liked the pre-release.
Yep.
We thought that was fantastic. I was actually at Two Guys Smoke Shop when Skip and Mike were there for Cigar Authority when I think that's where they first released it, but they had the bundles there, and I got a bundle of it, and I said, okay, I'll grab a bundle, and I lit one up with Skip, and I was like, wow, this is really, really good. And I came home, and Nicole decided to try one, and she was like, ooh, I need to smoke more Roma Craft. And that
I think I went out and bought a bunch of
yeah, she bought a bunch of Roma Craft, and we bought a bunch of the Quinquagenarios because it was like, hey, we got to grab these too. And we smoked a bunch of those, and we were like, wow, these are really, really good. So, this one made it onto the list. I know that some other people had really, rated this one pretty high, but this one was a great cigar. I think this was a really cool project, for what it represented and what it was, but it also performed really well, and it was really delicious. So just, it made it into the top 10. So there's number 10. So let's move on to number 9. Here we are. Number 9, the La Vereda from Crown Heads. This was Crown Heads' big foray into the I don't want to say ultra premium, but just on a slightly higher premium scale. This cigar, for some reason, actually I know why, but I don't know why. I always want to call it the Vigueros, which for those who don't know what that is a line from Habanos. It's a Cuban cigar, and it's kind of looks similar-ish, and it's got the V, and I know it's different, and I hate for, because I love the guys at Crown Heads, and I hate to make them feel like that, but it's true. I can't help it. I keep wanting to think it's the Vigueros from Habanos, but it's not. It's a different cigar. It throws me off every time. But this cigar was great. I smoked this cigar, and I'll be honest with you, the first one I had was a show sample, and you guys know how we feel about show samples. And it wasn't that great. It was very tight, and it was kind of plugged, and I was like, oh no. And then I said, listen, it's a show sample. Fuck that. Go buy fresh ones. And I did, and I'm so happy I did, because these were nothing like the show sample. They were way, way better. I know Kevin would love these as well. I think Mitchell, I think we got these up to Mitchell in Canada. It's tough because Mitchell doesn't get quite everything that we have just because of the Canada situation. But I know Kevin was also really into the cigar as well, and we talked a lot about this. And this was a monster hit for them. Crown Heads has been doing some great stuff the last couple of years. The last Calaveras this year I thought was good. Didn't quite get the votes to make the list. That was kind of a little mixed on our team. I thought it was good, but as well as the New Mil Diaz, the Topaz, I think is I forget how you say that. But that one I know was popular too. Again, those two didn't really get the votes to make the list, but the La Vereda did. The Toro size, fantastic cigar. They did a great job with this. It's exciting to see Crown Heads continue to expand kind of what they have going on in their portfolio. So just a huge shout out to them. Congrats to them for making it onto the list at number 9. Let's pull that down. I like how you did all these too. So I'm gonna say this. I've been trying not to, but I feel it's necessary. So the first of, I think, where are we? Yeah, this is the first of two for this company. So stay tuned. But at number 8, from Geneva, Switzerland, it's Davidoff. That's right. The white label was out in full force this year. There was a lot going on with them, and we'll talk a little bit about, maybe more about that on Spare Notes this weekend. But the first thing that came out that I became obsessed with, and I know that other guys on the team did too, was the Signature #1, the limited edition collection from the Signature line. It's not officially called the Lancero, although it's very Lancero-like. I don't have the exact dimensions in front of me, but maybe Nicole has them. But this was a cigar that I bought boxes of, and I still have some. I loved this cigar. I became obsessed with this cigar. It has been one of my favorites all year. I remember I grabbed a box. I was at PCA in Las Vegas, and I was just in the mood for one, and I was at Davidoff of Geneva, and they had a box, and I know that I probably should have bought it back home, not in Las Vegas, but I bought a box in Las Vegas just because I wanted to have them. This cigar was just on my mind, and I was like, I want to grab a box. I don't care what it is. I'm grabbing the box, and I grabbed that box, and I started smoking them during the trade show. I think I had like 4 of them. They were on fire. You know, there's something about that creamy, that soft, milder Dominican Davidoff taste that it's very difficult to replicate. Here you do have in front of you. Yeah, it's a 7.5 by 39. They call it officially the Panatella Larga. Is the size that they call it. Again, it's kind of Lancero-y like, but Davidoff does not call it that. But yeah, there's a taste on the white label, the classic white label stuff, like Anniversario, Grand Cru, the Signature, the Millennium. There's just something about that taste that it's very difficult to replicate, and there's a reason why those brands and those lines and those blends are so legendary, and that they perform the way they do, with Davidoff, and it's a reason why they're so high up on the list. Once again, a major release like that comes out, limited edition, and it earned its way high up on the list. So shout out to Davidoff. Once again, just crushing it. Just awesome release. So that brings us to, that was number 8, right? So that brings us to number 7. Sorry, I'm trying to keep the text is so small over here in the little sidebar, but I don't want it super big because then I can't see the broadcast. At number 7, the H99 Papas Fritas from Drew Estate. This was a big year for H99. It was a big year for Liga Privada.
Mm-hmm.
I know you went to the Barn Smoker in
Not this year.
22.
Yeah.
22. I was going to go, but unfortunately I was in Miami with Carney getting into shenanigans. So Nicole went to the Barn Smoker by herself. And then this year we were having a baby during the Connecticut Barn Smoker, which is the closest one to us.
I was due that weekend.
So we couldn't go. So I didn't get to go. But Nicole went and got to see a lot of the tobaccos that go into these cigars. And, they talked a lot about Liga and said, hey, it's going to be a big year for Liga in 23. And it really was. They added several sizes to the H99 line. They added a European release of the Liga Anniversario, the Liga 10 Anniversario, the Selección de Mercado, I think is how you pronounce that one. So yeah, it was a big year for Liga. They did a lot, but the Papas Fritas was cool. This was one of the freestyle live cigars, and I thought it was really awesome because I'm a big fan of the H99, and I know everyone else on the team is pretty big on those blend too. To see them come out in a small format that, at a nice price point with that same tobacco in it, it was a home run. It was such a home run. Like we got these cigars, we We smoked everything we had. Then we had I know I bought more. I think Kevin and Barbara bought more.
And I smoked one today.
And
It
you
was
had
so
one
good.
today.
It's like the perfect short smoke. I don't know. When you just need that, like, I don't know, that burst of flavor.
The size is fantastic. When you want something that's quick,
It took me about a half hour.
with some good tobaccos in it, with a lot of flavor, and you don't quite have time for that full cigar. The Papas Fritas, I mean, it's awesome. And the original Papas Fritas is delicious as well. I love those. But the H99 has become probably my favorite Liga blend. And when they came out with the Papas Fritas, I was like, this is interesting, and I'm excited. I don't know why I couldn't see them doing something like that. But when it came out, I was like, but hey, I'll try it, and I did, and I had like 8 of them that I got from a lounge, Drew Estate Lounge that's near us, and I killed all of them. They were just so good, and they were so easy to smoke, and I was like, why not? I just kept grabbing them, and I was like, yeah, this has to be on the list. I mean, how can you go wrong? It's a great buy, it's a great value, it's good tobacco, it's a killer blend. I mean, this is a staple that I think everyone should have. It's awesome. And the H99 is kind of different from the other Ligas. It's not, like the number 9, the T52 are much fuller, richer, cigars. And it's not that this one's mild, but it's not like the other two. It's a different kind of change of pace. And in the small size, it also performs really well. So shout out to Drew Estate. Great job. Number 7 in the top 10. Which will take us to number 6. Let's see. Our friends at Room 101. I know that Shadow 1 may or may not be here with us tonight, but Shadow 1 was harassing me before the show. GFY.
Sorry.
If you saw some of the Instagram comments that were made during our technical difficulties, GFY, but I still love you.
They thought they were number 1.
They thought they were cool. They were like, oh, yeah, your list went on too long. You know what, Shadow? You got to learn to be patient, all right? You got a good spot. You got number 6, all right? So one thing I'm going to say about this is I think we have the Perfecto shown.
It's the only picture I could find.
I know. The specific size was the Robusto size, and I will tell you that was a size. So I don't really smoke a lot at the trade show. Right. Now, the Perfecto size came out before. Actually, I think he released this before the sale to STG. It was a release that he did with Luxury Cigar Club. It was a limited run. And then this year, Matt announced, going to be making it a core line thing. He's going to have the 10-count Perfecto, but then he's going to have 20-count Robustos and Toros. And I was very excited about that because I really loved this blend. And I was very excited, that he was making it a core line because I had some limiteds left, but I was running low, and I was like, huh. And I would text him and say, you going to make more of these? Because I want to buy more. And, of course, I get the Matt Booth answer, which is extremely vague. And I was getting disappointed. And then I saw that these were coming out, full time. And I was excited. But back to my original comment, Nicole, I know you weren't at the trade show this year, but as you know, I don't smoke a lot on the trade show floor just because of how much we have going on. But I'm just going to say this, and it goes against the media man's code on the samples, but at General's booth this year, they had baskets of samples at every, brand facing that they had. They had this wide open booth with, like Partagas, and then they had Room 101, and then they had, Diesel. And then there was a basket, and it was full of samples of whatever it was that they were showcasing. And there was a big old basket of samples of the Robustos, of the JT. And I'm not going to lie to you, and I know Dave Mealy's here. I'm not going to lie to you. I kept sneaking into the Forge booth, and I kept taking more because they were so fucking good. I kept smoking them, and I started smoking them while I was doing the show, and I was just like, I don't even care, if it gets in the way. These are so good. I loved those cigars. I must have smoked half of a box on the trade show floor, which I've never really publicly admitted until now. But I really loved those. I went up to Matt and I was like, can I take some more of these? bro, you may take what you need. And I'm like, well, fucking don't tell me twice. These were great, and I know Kevin, smoked a bunch of these, and I know Mitchell had them, and he loved them, and it was the talk. It was the talk of the club for the last couple of months. These cigars were fantastic. It was just a great mild blend with enough flavor to really keep you in there, but it wasn't overpowering. wasn't going to kill you. Really, really well made. I believe these are made at the Oliva factory. I could be wrong. Something tells me it's Oliva. But regardless, just a great release, great tobacco, great blend. Just everything about it was perfect. And I know that this has become something that Matt has done. He's been working with the theme with his other non-cigar related Room 101 stuff, which is kind of cool. I don't know where he's going with it, but this seems to be his new mascot. So shout out to him at number 6. So we're getting to the top 5. And my cigar needs to be touched up again. I'm sorry. But how about this? How about I bring up number 5, and I'll let you start us off because I know you had this cigar. And you remember what the cigar is, right? Number 5?
No.
Come on. What? You don't remember?
No.
Hold on.
I should know.
Oh, I'm sorry. No. Number 4 is the one I was going to have you jump in on. Number 5.
That's okay.
Number 5.
I actually didn't get to smoke number 5, if I'm being honest, although it's still on my list. Because I've heard such great things. I've seen it on a bunch of lists, actually.
Nicole gets a pass on that, though, because she was pregnant last year, so she didn't have a lot of time.
August, and now I have.
Nicole didn't get to smoke everything she wanted to, so she gets a pass because she had a very good excuse. But at number 5, we saw another release under the Ferio Tego name. That's right, with the Suma, specifically the Torpedo. I think that was the size of choice. For everyone here, that's the size we reviewed. That's the size that got, I believe, a 91. Kevin reviewed that a few months ago. It scored very highly. This was a cigar. This was the first Coraline Ferio Tego branded cigar. So the Generoso and the Elegancia that Michael has released every year since the inception have been special releases that have come out once a year. The Suma is a mainstay Coraline brand under the Ferio Tego name that's outside of the Timeless and Metropolitan that are, the legacy. I know he doesn't like when we say the Nat Sherman brands. I'll whisper it. But this was cool. This was something different. I know that he got a lot of attention on this cigar. And I'll be honest with you, this was another one. The first one I smoked, I was like, yeah, I don't get it. There's something wrong with this cigar. And I acquired several more, and I smoked another one, and I said, okay, this one, okay, I get it now. And I continued to smoke them, and they got a little bit better. Kevin, I know, was huge on this. Not hard to figure out. If anyone saw his review, he got an outstanding review. 91 points. What else can I say? I mean, it's nice to see Mike. It's nice to see Mike still out there doing what he loves, doing what he does best, and performing top of the lists. In the top 5. It's nice to see. It's nice to see him. Where he is. You think just 2 years ago? Just under 2 years ago now. Everything he went through to get his brand started, and he's back out there, and here he is. He's keeping the momentum going. Just hitting it, man. So good for him. Let's see. Cruising right along. I know it's getting late. Number 4. McAuliffe Black. This was in the Toro size specifically. This was a cigar that I noticed right off the bat when I first smoked it. I said, this one's going to be a serious contender.
And it made a lot of lists.
It made a lot of lists from what I hear.
It got number 1.
It got number 1 with Cigar Authority.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is really cool. Good for those guys. But it did rank at number 4 with us. This cigar was one that I think will change McAuliffe. I think this is perhaps the best cigar that McAuliffe has ever released. Mm-hmm. Great cigar for the value as well. This is an $8 cigar. There are cigars that are in this same, profile and range that are going for a little bit less than twice the price, which are also still good cigars. But for the value, it's really hard to beat this. I think McAuliffe has. I don't want to. How do I say this? I don't want to say turned a new leaf, but they've been doing a lot of things and they've been doing well. But I think the black is a cigar that's really going to change the game for them.
But it's also just been a huge year from them. They partnered with All Saints. Sorry.
That's okay.
They partnered with All Saints with Mickey Peg.
Mm-hmm.
They came out with the cigar. There's just some new things going on there, and they're all good.
Yeah,
They're
I
all
mean,
good.
you got to give them credit. I mean, they've been making a lot of effort with a lot of things, but they put a lot into that black. And I remember hearing rumblings and teasings from them, several months before. Like, hey, we have this project. It's gonna be different.
And Dan was so excited about it.
Very excited about it. He's like, just picture this, and I'm like, okay, whatever.
Sexy little black dress.
That's all he would tell us. He's like, just think like a sexy little black dress. That was the thing he kept saying. I was like, all right, we'll see what this is all about. And then the black came out, and I was at the Cigar Authority when Andy Yaffe, who used to be with the company, and Amanda McAuliffe were there for one of the launches of that cigar. And I smoked it with Andy. I smoked both sizes, and the Robusto was all right, but the Toro is where it shines, 100%. The Toro is where it shines, and I knew that was going to score high. The top four were all pretty tough, but nonetheless, it scored pretty well, and congrats to McAuliffe for being up there towards the top of the list. All right, number 3.
This one I did smoke.
This one, I think we all smoked this one. This one's not going to surprise anybody. I think the next few are not going to surprise many people.
Nope.
Number 3. Guess who? That's right. It's your boy, Steve Saka. There it is. I'm sure everyone was waiting for it to arrive. There it is, the Papa Saka. Everyone talked all about it. Mikke Rito Black, the new size. Saka Khan made the list last year. The Papa Saka made the list this year.
It was so good. This was like the second cigar I smoked after I had my baby.
Yeah,
It
she
was
didn't
so
start
good.
off mild and work her way back. She was like, I'm going
No,
right
no.
to Steve. And she just
Well,
went right
I
there.
had bought a box when I was pregnant because I loved the Saka Khan so much, but I do prefer a smaller cigar sometimes. So I splurged. I bought so many cigars in that last trimester because I was just craving cigars so much. And I had bought a box of this without being able to smoke them right away.
Yeah.
And it
was-
sucks because they sold out. I bought them at like that first.
You bought them during
the first release of Smoke Inns, the summer of Saka.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like missed that train, and the pregnant person who couldn't smoke them right away got a box, but that's okay.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
So good.
You
They were
know,
amazing.
Do you question? Do you want to go fix that before I do the other?
No, wait.
Okay.
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right. So that's number 3. Huge shout out to Steve. Those are his spots on the list. He scored towards the top. I think a lot of people are probably not going to be surprised. I'm not going to keep going into it. You guys all know. You guys know it's Steve. He did well. No surprise. Number 2. This was a cigar that, in a way, was also like a line extension of a pretty well-known brand. And Nicole and I actually had the opportunity to smoke the cigar before it was released, which is something that we've actually probably never publicly disclosed. But while we're here, for the sake of the conversation, I'll just tell you that this was something that we got to smoke when we were in the factory while it was in post-production, but it wasn't formally announced yet. It was phenomenal. And I was like, wow, this is something. This is something. And I remember looking at Nicole and be like, this could be, whenever it does get released. At the time, there was no timetable disclosed to us, but eventually this cigar gets released. It says a real shot at number 1, and it made it to number 2. It was really tough. These 1 and 2, we as a team we went back and forth on, and this one landed at number 2, but it was a real shot at number 1. And this one is going to be from Arturo Fuente, the Don Carlos Eye of the Bull. that we saw released this year. It was first kind of teased at the trade show in 22 because it was accidentally put in the display, and Carlito was very upset about that because it was not supposed to be shown. And people kept asking about it, and they were like, no, we're not. I don't know why it's there, but we're not talking about it. They would not talk about it. Later that year, we were in the factory, and they said, hey, you guys want to try this? And I said, okay. And he told us what it was. And I said, oh, okay, yeah. I remember seeing the box, and he was like, oh, I can't believe that was there. But he's like, no, it's something that we've been working on. This was actually a project of Ciro Casella, Executive Vice President of Tabacaleria Fuente y Silla, for several years now. And it's a short little cigar, but I'll tell you, that little cigar will pack some punch, and you get a lot of time out of that, too. I know Kevin got over an hour out of that little cigar during his reviews.
I didn't get over an hour. I smoked that just a couple days ago. I would say about an hour because it is, on the stronger side, so you want to pace yourself, but it was good. Yeah,
very, very flavorful. That really, the Cameroon wrapper on that cigar really shines in that size. I've smoked several of them. The Cameroon wrapper just really shines, and you can really taste it, and it's really, really nice. They are ready to smoke out of the box. There's no extra aging needed. Probably wouldn't hurt, but they're flawless. Just delicious. The construction on them was almost perfect. The burn line, the ash, everything about it was just almost perfect. Just a hats off to Arturo Fuente. They know how to make cigars down there. I'll give them that. They did a great job with this. So that's our number 2 cigar of the year. So now it's time for number 1. So everyone who has kind of hung in there to find out what number 1 is, now is the time. So as I said before in the beginning of the show, this was a tough list to put together. There was a lot of stuff that came out with a lot of hype that kind of fell flat, and then there was some really good stuff that came out, and that top of the list was really tough, especially these top 2. But decisions were made, and this year, the number 1 cigar of the year for Smokin Tabacco comes from the Dominican Republic. And the company who owns it is from Geneva, Switzerland. And it goes to Davidoff. At number 1, it's the Anniversario number 1 from Davidoff, the limited edition collection. This cigar was one that we knew was coming out. It was announced early in the year when Davidoff had announced all of their limited edition stuff. The Millennium Lancero, the signature number 1, which you saw earlier on the list, this cigar. And I was waiting for it to come out, and it finally did. And I almost forgot about it, to be honest with you. But it came out in the fall, just in time for our deadline. And Nicole was already like, hey, we got to get those. And I was like, oh, yeah. And, we finally did. And I know Kevin was on this. He bought a couple of boxes, which he's been smoking them. And when it came time to put the list together, there was a small handful of names that were like, all right, who's going to be at number 1? This was one of the first names. The Eye of the Bull was one of the first names. Papa Saka was one of the names, and it was really like those 3. The McAuliffe Black was thrown in. Ultimately, we kind of decided, I think the McAuliffe Black's going to fall somewhere between top 3, top 5. But the other 3, it was tough. We knew that number 1 was one of those 3. On a lot of factors, everyone on the team loved them. They performed well. I mean, we've been talking about them all night. I'm not going to just keep, repeating myself, but it was tough. It was a tough year, and ultimately, we've done re-smokes, and we go through our process, and this was the cigar. I was having a conversation with Nicole, and I had a conversation with Kevin, and this was the cigar. I can't tell you anything that you probably don't already know about Davidoff and the Anniversario blend. It's a legendary blend. You all know what it is. You've probably smoked at least one in your life. It's when I think of Davidoff, Anniversario is perhaps my favorite blend, to see it in this size, this is a bigger size. Not quite the A size, but it is a larger format. I personally really enjoy those, as does many of the people on the team. But I thought that they hit it out of the park with this one. Now, having said that, people do line extensions on cigars, and they will come out with larger sizes, smaller sizes of an existing blend everybody loves, and it can be tricky because sometimes not every size works in every blend. So I mean, it wasn't like a guarantee. Like it's the Aniversario blend, which we all know and love. I know Nicole has enjoyed that brand, and but you got to smoke it and try it. And we put them through the ringer. And it's, yeah, it stands up to that Davidoff reputation. It stands up with the rest of the Aniversario line. The quality's there, the consistency's there. I mean, it's perfect on every aspect. This cigar is fantastic. Kevin does have a review of this cigar that I know is supposed to be. It was supposed to be released this week, but unfortunately there was a little bit of a delay. But this cigar is currently being reviewed by Kevin. Obviously, you guys know now it's going to score extremely high. But it is our 2023 cigar of the year. So congratulations to everyone at Davidoff. I know Eddie Guerra was with us tonight, and to several other folks over there that I know. Again, this was a tough year for the list to put together. There was a lot of good competition. There was a lot of stuff that was needed to be resmoked and looked, and there was some stuff that was on the list and went off the list and back and forth. But we put our list together the best we could, and this is what we came up with, and we're really happy with it. So we're really proud of the list that we put together tonight, and I want to thank everyone for watching the show tonight and being with us and waiting through all of the technical difficulties. I apologize so much. I'm so sorry for all of those issues in the beginning.
And one thing to mention is we have a deadline on our list, which I don't think we talked about, but if there's some cigars that were released towards the tail end, I believe October 31st is our cutoff.
Halloween, yeah.
Halloween is our cutoff. So if cigars were released after the 31st, they weren't considered. So just want to disclose that because there were a couple cigars that I've seen on other people's lists that potentially could be contenders for us next year, but it just doesn't give our whole team ample time to review those cigars when they come out after October 31st. We got to, mule them up to Canada to get to Mitchell, and, it's a whole process. So, so I just want to disclose that too, that our list runs after October 31st.
Yeah, a lot of people had had made some predictions on some stuff, and I said, unfortunately, those cigars have been their eligibility has been pushed to 2024. Yeah. So far, the forecast for 2024 is looking a little bit different. So there's already out of the gate, there's a couple of cigars that had a lot of hype to them that we're excited to get into. We probably won't, until the end of the year. So we won't get too far into it, but there's been a few that have been pretty good so far. And then there was a couple that had a lot of hype that we've already kind of test smoked and were major disappointments. So, and you'll probably find out which ones those are pretty soon. I think I might talk about some of those on a show coming up. But yeah, 2023 is over. Finally, it's been a long year. It's been an exhausting year. It's just been a crazy year for us, both here at Smokin Tabacco and Nicole and I personally, as well as everyone else on the team. Everyone's kind of gone through a lot of different stuff. So I'm just happy it's over, and I hope that 2024 is a little bit easier, to say the least, on all fronts. But yeah, crazy year. So that's our list. Congratulations to Davidoff and everyone else who made the list. It's been fun, but we'll do it all again at the end of this year. So there's always next year, guys, and I'm excited to see what happens this year, especially with the trade show being earlier and how that might affect certain releases. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens this year. It's gonna be different for sure. That's my prediction. Yeah. So any cigars that you thought should be on the list that just came out, they did not make the list. They're probably gonna be on the list this year. We also have our awards. I'm not doing that tonight. Don't worry. I've dragged you through enough. But the awards will be announced soon. We have several of those to give away. We're actually still finalizing a couple of them, and we'll get those out to you. But speaking of which, and I know he's here, Eddie Guerra from Davidoff will be on the show in 2 weeks, I think. A couple weeks. I don't remember the exact date off the top of my head, but he's coming on very soon. So very fitting to have him coming on soon. We'll talk a little bit more about this and probably some of the other projects that they've been working on, such as the Year of the Dragon, which is another one that they've got in their repertoire that we'll probably talk a lot about. There's been a lot going on with that brand recently. So keep an eye out for that show. Like I said, it's coming up. Right here, same place, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern. This Saturday, Spare Notes returns. I wanted to tell people that because I've gotten a lot of questions. It was a lot of downtime that we took. Just on a personal note for everybody, Spare Notes returns this weekend. So we'll be back Saturday night. Don't stress. And we'll have a good time. So with that, guys, thank you for watching. That's our show this week. Congratulations to everyone who made the list. And we'll see you next week. Take care, everybody.